Week 13 rankings, not that crazy of a week 12, but we do have quite a few changes. We had 2 of my top 10 teams lose, but other than that, the remaining 8 in the top 10 and the top 6, 7 teams did not lose. They held strong, had a really good week, and we had a lot of mix-up around the 10 to 20 range. So that is a big mix-up there, but another great week of college basketball, as it always is. We're getting closer and closer to March Madness, and this is what we got heading into week 13. So our number 1 team remains the same, Auburn. They beat Tennessee this week only by 2 points. Very low scoring affair. Good to see Janai Broome back, though. He looked really good. Maybe not 100%, but good enough to play. Still played really well, and he's only going to get back to what he was 100% here very, very soon. Duke won on the road at Wake Forest. Wake Forest was a very, very hot team. They entered my Power 35 last week, beat North Carolina earlier this week, and was in a close game against Duke, but Duke was able to hold on. That was a very good win there for Duke there on the road. Number 3, we have Iowa State, and Iowa State had a really good week here, 2-0 against Central Florida and Arizona State. Arizona State's been heating up a little bit, was able to upset West Virginia on the road this week. Iowa State was able to beat them. They are staying here at number 3. Curtis Jones, maybe the most underrated player in the entire country. I know people who actually watch college basketball all know Curtis Jones and how crazy he has been going, but for the casual college basketball fan, if you found yourself in this video, Curtis Jones is definitely top 5, if not top 3, for National Player of the Year this year. Number 4, we do have Alabama. They had a pretty good week this week, 2-0, beat Vanderbilt and beat LSU. Any week in the SEC going 2-0 is a good week. Houston at number 5. Now, Houston and Michigan State fans might be mad at this, but I think Houston had an amazing win in double overtime against Kansas on the road, and they've been playing so good, undefeated in the Big 12. And I know Michigan State is also undefeated in their league. They're in the Big 10. I think right now Houston is the better team than Michigan State, and after going 2-0 once again this week and beating Kansas on the road, I had to give Houston the spot over Michigan State this week, even though Michigan State still undefeated, got a really good win in Madison Square Garden against Rutgers, still undefeated in the Big Ten, still really good. I have them number 6, that is really high, but I had to swap them because Houston deserved to jump up for that win. They deserve to be top 5, and right now they're here at number 5. And Michigan number 6, a really good week. I did not want to move them down. I just felt like I had to move up Houston at least one spot, and I feel like Houston is the better team than Michigan State right now. It is close, but Michigan State still at number 6. That is still really good. Like I said, they got another good win against Rutgers. They haven't lost in 2025 yet. Been playing amazing. Yeah, they deserve it. Number 6. Number 7, we got Florida. Really good week. Like I said, for Alabama, 2-0 week in the SEC is a really good week. And they've been, getting upset a couple of times. Like they lost to Missouri at home. What was that, last week or the week before? But they came back this week and had a 2-0 week against South Carolina and against Georgia. Dominant wins at that. Dominant wins. So looking really good. Definitely showed me they still deserve to be top 10 here at number 7. Number 8, we do have Marquette. 2-0 week, bounce back. They lost to Xavier at home last week in a 1-1 week. Bounce back with the 2-0 week this week here for Marquette. Tennessee here at number 9, dropping one spot. 1-1 week. They're not going to drop too much, only one spot. They lost to Auburn on the road by 2 points. It was very low scoring, very physical game. It was entertaining, but Tennessee dropped one spot, still in the top 10. Number 10, we do have Purdue. Now, Purdue destroyed Michigan this week. I mean, blew the doors off from the get-go. I think at halftime they were up like 45-18, something like that. Absolutely destroyed them. However, they did lose to Ohio State as well. So 1-1 week, but still looked really strong, only dropping one spot here to number 10. Number 11, we do have Texas A&M. Now, this is where things get a little bit weird. I feel like Texas A&M, they should have had a 2-0 week. However, they blew a huge lead to Texas. That was not good. And then they probably should have dropped for that, but they beat Ole Miss earlier in the week on the road. That was very impressive because I was pretty high on Ole Miss. Ole Miss had a bad week, but that was an impressive win there by Texas A&M. And a lot of teams around, from the 11 to 20 range, I'm pretty sure almost all of them, except for Memphis, lost. So I think Texas A&M looked pretty good. I'm going to move them up here to number 11. Kentucky did take a loss to Vanderbilt. Not that good of a loss, Vanderbilt's been holding home court strong. They beat Tennessee and Kentucky at home already this year, the last 2 weeks. So Vanderbilt, not a bad team, but I am keeping Kentucky here because everybody else behind them also lost. So, if Kentucky loses again, they're definitely going to drop. We'll see how they play next week, but their defense definitely needs some fixing. Oregon here at number 13. Oregon dropping 2 spots for losing to Minnesota. Minnesota, they've been playing really good against ranked teams that come into the barn there at home. Dawson Garcia is a really good player. He had the buzzer beater there against Michigan last week to upset Michigan. This week they upset Oregon. So they're going to drop 2 spots here to number 13. Number 14, we do have Mississippi State. They went 1-1. They lost to Tennessee. 1-1 week. Beat South Carolina as well. Losing to Tennessee. I feel like, with all the teams below them pretty much falling, I feel like Mississippi State, especially beating Memphis earlier in the year by a decent margin, I feel like they deserve to stay here at number 14 for now. You could say that they maybe deserve to drop a little bit more. I could see it, but I still got them here at number 14. Number 15, I do have Memphis staying put. They had a 1-0 week, beat Wichita State. That was a good win for them. However, they're going to stay put at 15. I feel like it's a good spot for them, and even though they did go 1-0 this week, it wasn't that crazy of an opponent. I think Wichita State is a decent team. It was a good win for Memphis, but nothing crazy that deserves them to be ranked above a team that beat them earlier in the season. Still 15, that's a good ranking. I feel like that's the right spot for Memphis right now. Number 16, we do have Louisville. They're jumping up 5 spots into the top 20 here at 16 because they've been on a roll lately, a big hot streak, and if they keep it up, they're going to be top 10 soon if they do not lose. So Louisville's playing really amazing lately, jumping up 5 spots here to number 16. Look out, they look like the second best team in the ACC. Number 17, we do have Arizona jumping up 9 spots. Another 2-0 week there for Arizona. They only have 1 conference loss in the Big 12, so they're just skyrocketing up the rankings, up all the way up to 17 this week. Number 18, we do have St. John's. St. John's, similar to Arizona, I think they only have 1 conference loss there in the Big East so far. Playing awesome. They're jumping up 6 spots, entering the top 20 here at 18. Number 19, we do have Utah State. Utah State blew the doors off of both their opponents. They beat Nevada bad. That was the most impressive one. And then they also beat Air Force really bad. So Utah State had to get back into the top 20. They dropped out of the top 20 last week because they lost to UNLV. Back up here at number 19. Looking really, really strong this week. Number 20, we do have Clemson jumping up 7 spots. Kind of similar to Louisville. They've been on a pretty good hot streak. They're also looking like a very solid team out of the ACC, and they're in the top 20 now. ACC's got 3 teams in the top 20. 21, we do have Kansas. They're dropping 1 spot after losing in double overtime to Houston. I kind of want to talk about that Houston-Kansas game a little bit more because Kansas had that game, and it was looking like Houston was going to lose, get their 3rd loss in an overtime game, be 0-3 in overtime this year, after losing Alabama in overtime earlier this year and losing to San Diego State in overtime earlier this year. But they were up 6, missed free throws. Emmanuel Sharp comes down, hits a 3. They get a turnover, hit another 3. Down 6 with under 20 seconds to go, hit back-to-back 3s with the turnover, forced double overtime, and Houston ends up winning in double OT. Kansas with a major choke job, but only dropping 1 spot here in a 1-1 week. They also did beat TCU this week, so they are staying in the top 25 here at 21. But, man, they really sold that one, man. They could have jumped up quite a bit for beating Houston. Houston was a very hot team, the last undefeated team or conference in league play, undefeated in league play, last team in the Big 12 there that's undefeated. And yeah, that would have been huge for Kansas, but they are going to drop one spot. 22, we have St. Mary's. I feel like St. Mary's is a team that's going really under the radar so far this season. They've been quietly dominating, and I don't mean that lightly. They have been dominating their opponents, beating San Francisco by a ton. A closer game against Washington State, but was able to win that one as well. Looking really good in the West Coast Conference, and they might end up winning the league over Gonzaga this year. They are looking really strong. Number 23, we do have Wisconsin. They are dropping 4 spots. A 1-1 week here for Wisconsin. But yeah, dropping 4 spots. Still think they are a top 25 team. They're another under the radar team that has been playing pretty decently. Number 24, we do have Texas Tech jumping up 8 spots. Another 2-0 week for Tech in the Big 12. They've really taken off since Big 12 play started, and they're up 8 spots here in the top 25 at 24. Number 25, we do have Vandy. And Vandy, even though they went on a 1-1 week, their loss was to Alabama, my number 4 team, and their win was against Kentucky, my number 12 team. So 1-1 with your loss against the number 4 team, I feel like they deserve to be top 25 because that's back-to-back weeks. They beat a top 10 team, Kentucky wasn't top 10 for me, but back-to-back weeks, they beat a really good team, and they lost to Alabama in between. That's not that bad. I think they deserve to jump up a little bit here. They're here at number 25. Shout out to the Commodores. Next up, we got 26, Missouri. Missouri jumping up 4 spots here. And Missouri, kind of similar to Vanderbilt. I feel like they should jump up, even though they had a 1-1 week. They lost to Texas on the road, but they beat Ole Miss. So Ole Miss at home. So that was a really good win there against Ole Miss. Missouri has some really good wins on the season against Kansas at home, against Ole Miss at home, against Florida on the road, playing really well. 26 here for Mizzou. Number 27, we do have Illinois. I kind of was making this ranking, and I was like, man, Illinois seems a little bit low, but they haven't been playing that good lately. I know their last one against Northwestern here today on Sunday, they looked pretty good, especially out the gate. But in that Maryland game, they did not look good. And their last loss, I forget exactly who it was against, they did not look that good either. But in that Maryland game, they looked bad. Kasparis Jakaitis, I know that's not how you pronounce his last name, but for now, he's referred to as Jakaitis until he stops turning the ball over. I know he is a really good player. He's only a freshman, but until he stops turning the ball over, he is referred to as Jakaitis. And yeah, I feel like that he's got to quit turning the ball over for sure. But Illinois, I still think is a really good team. I feel like I'm underrated them here at 27, but the teams above them did win. Teams like Missouri getting these huge wins, Vanderbilt getting huge wins, Texas Tech 2-0, St. Mary's 2-0, Clemson, Utah State, St. John's, Arizona, and Louisville all going 2-0 this week. Illinois had to fall below them, man. They just had to. I look for a huge bounce-back week by Illinois this week. I really expect it, and they'll be definitely in the top 25 back again next week. I expect them to, so don't disappoint me, Illinois. Michigan dropping 11 spots. They got smacked. They got belt to booty by Purdue. Just never was in that game from the jump. They drop 11 spots here to number 28. Number 29, we do have UConn. UConn took another loss this week. I don't know what's going up to them. What's up with them, man? What's up with UConn? I don't know. But they lost to Xavier this week. They're dropping 6 spots. They had to go out of the top 25. Number 30, we do have Ole Miss dropping 14 spots. One of the teams this week that went 0-2, but they are still staying in the Power 35 because they are a really good team. They have a really good win against Alabama on the road. That was very impressive. So they're staying in the top 30. But man, 0-2 to Texas A&M and Missouri, dropping down here to number 30. Number 31, we do have Maryland. They were on the watch list last week. They went 2-0 with 2 really good wins. Dominating win over Illinois. Derek Queen looks like one of the most talented centers in college basketball as a freshman. He is killing it. looking really good. The front court of him and Julian Reese looked spectacular, especially in that Illinois game. Then they won on the road against Indiana with a not a buzzer beater, but pretty much a game-winning shot with like 4 seconds left by Rodney Rice. So that was a huge three there to have a 2-0 week there against Illinois and Indiana. Very impressive week for Maryland. They go from the watch list up to 31 this week. Number 32, we do have Creighton. They've been looking really well, really good lately. 2-0. Even without Pop Isaacs, they have been able to make a big comeback on their season, turn their season around. They're now looking like they're going to make March Madness once again. Number 33, we do have Wake Forest staying put. I kind of mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Duke. They beat North Carolina this week. They're a hot team, and they lost to Duke. So I don't feel like that's such a bad week. I don't feel like they should fall any for that. They lost to the number 2 team in the country, and they also beat North Carolina, which is a win that they definitely needed. So 33 here for Wake Forest. Number 34, we do have Oklahoma. Oklahoma staying put because they went 1-0 this week against Arkansas. 1-0. That is a good win, but Oklahoma's been very inconsistent in conference play so far, so they need another good week to start moving up. They're staying put here at number 34. I feel like they're in the right spot right now. Number 35, we do have VCU. We finally got some A10 representation in the Power 35 once again because VCU has been dominant. 2 really good wins against St. Bonaventure and Rhode Island. Those are 2 really good teams in their league, and they are now at the top spot in the A10 conference and on a pretty good win streak. So they're from the watch list up to number 35. Got some more A10 representation in the Power 35. For a while, it was Dayton. We had Rhode Island in there 1 week. I think we had St. Bonaventure in there a week or two. VCU early in the year, very early in the year, but now VCU's back. So that's what we're looking like. The A10 is very, very strong. Watch list this week. Baylor had a 2-0 week. Looked really good. Got a comeback win against Kansas State, and just 2-0 on the week. Looking really good. New Mexico had a 2-0 week. Looking really good. Looking like maybe the best team. Wait, not the best team in the Mountain West. Utah State looking like the best team. But New Mexico, I definitely feel like there should be at least 2 bids out of the Mountain West this year. Maybe 3. San Diego State, we'll see. They're probably on the bubble right now. West Virginia 0-2, one of the worst weeks this week of any team in the entire country. They lost to Kansas State on the road. That is not a good loss. I know it is on the road, but they got dominated in that game. Also lost to Arizona State at home. Not a good loss. West Virginia has to win a game like against Arizona State, especially at home. They got out-rebounded in that game about 60-28. Could not rebound the ball, and they could not shoot the ball. There's a lid on the basket all week for West Virginia. They had to fall completely out of the Power 35. We'll see if they can bounce back, but they lost their mojo. I don't know what happened. They got to get it back. I really feel like they need Tucker DeVries to come back from injury. If that can happen, I feel like he can give this team a spark, which is much needed right now for this team. They need to get back on track. SMU falls out of the rankings. They were 35 last week. They fall out because they got not because they lost to Louisville, but because they got destroyed by Louisville. It was never a game. Louisville came into their house and destroyed it, burned it to the ground. SMU did not look good in that game. They did get a win later on in the week, but it doesn't matter. They had to fall out because of that. Because they were number 35, they fall down to the watch list. Georgia, another not so great week. I know I might have made them fall too far last week. You guys were letting me know that, and maybe I did. But then they come back this week with another not so good week. Lost to Arkansas and to Florida. And the Florida loss isn't so bad, but they got destroyed in that game. I think they lost by 30 points. And they had the Arkansas win. It was a close one. They were in it. I still think they're in the NCAA tournament field, but they need a good week this week. Gonzaga went 1-0 this week, but still didn't do anything special to earn their spot back into the Power 35. San Diego State had a really good week, actually. Wins against Nevada and Air Force, but just not enough to get back into the Power 35, but they are working their way back up. UCLA, they're back on the watch list. They were kind of not doing so hot there for a while, but they got a good win against Wisconsin this week. They're back on the watch list. North Texas. North Texas is a team that I have kept my eye on a lot out of the American. I think they're probably the second best team in the American right behind Memphis. So look out for North Texas and Texas themselves. Texas had a really good week this week. Got to be on the watch list. Another good week in the SEC. They could not only make the Power 35, but get into the top 30 or top 25. The SEC schedule is tough, and Texas is hanging in there. Huge comeback win against Texas A&M this week, by the way. But that's going to do it for this week's Danieology Power 35, heading into Week 13 of college basketball. Let me know what you guys think. Who should be higher? Who should be lower? Who got snubbed? Let me know all that down below in the comment section. And yeah, guys, subscribe. Hit that sub button. We do a ton of college basketball content, including these rankings every single Monday. We do bracketologies, March Madness predictions, all types of stuff college basketball related. So make sure you guys subscribe. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.